do make diligent efforts to answer everything asked. Sometimes the asker needs to ask straight questions. So a question like, could you give us a written analysis of the NGSA 2013 result? Such a vague question, sir. We could analyze 100 different things. So sometimes we need straighter questions.
What we will
and once we get those, we will answer them as straightly as we can.
But Minister, I'd like to say something. If a minister gets a sense of what it is the member is seeking, let us not stand up for and expect that unless it comes in a particular fashion, I will not answer it. If the information is available and you have a general idea of what is being sought, and it is within your power and purview to answer, I would suggest that you go ahead. If you have an idea, or you may ask the member directly. I receive a question from you, but if you really need to ask X, or you may ask the clerk to assist the Parliament office to get further details and particulars for it, so that you may provide a more fulsome answer.
Right, and sir, that's why I would be happy if Mrs. Ali says exactly what it is she needs clarification on, because as you can see, we gave you volumes of answers. They wide, long, way past the question.
We will work on it, but at the end of the day, we have made tremendous progress as an assembly in the way questions have been asked and answered, and I'd like us to continue in that vein, and so we will work with both yourself and Ms. Ali and all other members to ensure greater specificity and better answers. Thank you very much. Mr. Clark?
Statements by ministers and public policy statements. Personal explanations. Request for leave to move the adjournment of the National Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance. Motions relating to the business or sittings of the National Assembly and moved by Minister.
Honourable members, last evening, I received a request from the Honourable Prime Minister notice of his intention to move a motion and requesting my leave for him to be able to do so. I gave my consent last evening, and so, honourable members, I invite the Honourable Prime Minister of Parliamentary Affairs to move his motion as I have given my consent. Yes, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
I am looking at the supplementary or paper. Motion relating to the business or sitting of the Assembly moved by Minister. And it says the Speaker's consent obtained in accordance with Standing Order 28-2 for the following matter to be proceeded with at the sitting. My reading, sir, of 28-2. With the consent of the Speaker, a government motion may be placed upon the order paper for the sitting. May be placed on the order paper. I am unaware, sir, that the Speaker has the power to consent to it proceeded with, being proceeded with at this sitting. What clearly, sir, 28-2 does is to give you, sir, or anyone holding that position, the power to consent to be placed on the order paper, not to be proceeded with. 112, sir, with the greatest respect, and in fact it is in this motion, is what will have to be invoked to suspend the standing order so it could be proceeded with, it could be placed. So I would want to respectfully submit, sir, that word it as it is, our understanding is that it could be placed, but then it will have to be voted on as to whether the motion can proceed. The Speaker on his own, we respectfully submit, cannot give approval for it to be proceeded with, but can give permission for it to be placed on.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. You are perfectly correct and in order. I gave leave for the Prime Minister to move the motion. I have no authority to instruct or advise for him to proceed because I will, at the appropriate time, have to put that motion to the House, whether the House would proceed. So you are correct. And if in any way I gave the impression that I had given consent for the motion to proceed, but then there would be, I would say, the printer's devil is at work. but I can only take leave, and the leave has been given by me, and so it is to the Prime Minister to put his motion to the House for its approval as to whether or not we proceed. But certainly it is not ipso facto that he shall proceed to leave of the House. So I am given leave for this process to ensue. Thank you. Proceed, Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, honorable members of this House. Let me put the motion that is standing in my name. Whereas the Hydroelectric Power Amendment Bill 2013, Bill number 15 of 2013, okay. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, taking account of what was stated, just stated by the honorable member, Mrs. Baca, I would like first to move that standing order number 112 be suspended to facilitate the proceeding with this motion.
Honorable Prime Minister, I believe you meant to say that we will invoke the powers of Standing Order 112 to suspend Standing Order 69. We follow on this.
Okay.
I will guide you to Mr. Bassett Williams is now the resident expert on Standing Order 112.
I was going to advise him, sir.
I'm sure the assistant, but we will guide you through it.
I was about to
I will invoke Standing Order 112 to allow you to move for the suspension of Standing Order 69. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I will take the guidance, sir. And sir, the reason why we are seeking to suspend these standing orders is provided in the whereas clauses. Whereas the Hydroelectric Power Amendment Bill 2013, Bill number 50 of 2013 was declared lawful, and the motion of the limit and the amount outstanding under the guarantees given under the guarantees of loans, Public Corporation Companies Act was negative at the sitting of the National Assembly on 18 July 2013. And whereas the government of Guyana, as a result of recent developments, is desirous of, I believe that this National Assembly too joins in being desirous of proceeding with the second and third reading of the Hydroelectric Power Amendment Bill 2030, Bill number 50, 2030, and the consideration of the motion to limit the amount outstanding under the guarantees given under the Guarantee of Loans, Public Corporations and Companies Act. And whereas standing order number 2016 states that the motion shall not receive discussion of a matter which has been discussed in the same session. Be it resolved that standing orders number 69 and 26E be suspended to allow the National Assembly to proceed with the second and third readings of the Hydroelectric Power Amendment Bill 2013, Bill number 50 of 2013, and the consideration of the motion to limit on amount outstanding under guarantees given under the Guarantee of Loans, Public Corporations and Companies Act. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with this motion, the government seeks to reintroduce the amendment to the HEPA, which was lost, and the amendment to what we refer to as the debt ceiling motion, which was negativized on the 18th of July. But it is generally known, Mr. Speaker, it is in the public, that positions may well have changed. Positions seem to have changed with more understanding and more reflection on these matters. And therefore, the government believes that there is a good chance that this House will come together and make these waivers so that we can proceed or have the bill and the motion reintroduced so that we could bring back on the table and proceed with the Amida Falls hydroelectric project. Mr. Speaker, earlier I did, the honorable member, leader of the House, had sought a definition of this term session as used by us. And I took it as a sign that he was clearing the air to proceed with this matter, since that the way our standing orders are put, and thinking of the ways other countries have it, a session seems to end in some places, ends at the recess, but in our particular case, our session goes from the time Parliament is called until Parliament is ended. And therefore, I think it is very reasonable in this situation that even though the waiver of the particular standing orders I've asked for is not likely taken, in our circumstances, I think there is good reason that we should so do. And so, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I look for support across this House for the motion that I have. That is standing in my name.
Thank you very much. So the motion is proposed, honorable member.
Yes.
William, honorable member, proceed.
I'm so sorry you'll be familiar with the rolled up plate in the law. What has just happened? We have rolled up motions in one. What the Honorable Prime Minister ought to do, sir, one, is to move a motion that standing order 112 be invoked. And we voted that. Remember the witness they had me in the first time I dealt with it. Secondly, he has to move a motion that standing order 69 and 2016 be suspended. And thirdly, he has to move a motion that his motion be proceeded with. So he hasn't done those things. In fact, you corrected him about invoking instead of suspending. But we need to be voted on these motions. So 3 motions are rolled up in one.
Anyone else wishes to speak to this motion? Go, yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I may be premature, but what would be of some moment to APNU is if the Honorable Prime Minister or anyone on his side speaking on this motion will indicate if perchance this motion is passed, whether the government's intention, if it is the government's intention to proceed with the hydroelectric power amendment bill and the consideration of the motion forthwith. Because if they propose to do that, they will also have, for out of an abundance of caution, to indicate that also. Because it's a supplementary order to it. But our understanding is that if the motion is passed, then the next thing on the order paper is the first local government, well no, I shouldn't say that. The first will be the telecommunications bill, followed by the Public Utilities Commission, etc. So I would be very happy for clarity if he can indicate that, because we don't want the Honorable Mr. Sheriff, who is about to get up to object to something that I haven't said to suddenly say, well, no, what is implied is that this will happen immediately if perchance the Honorable Prime Minister is able to persuade us. demonstrated that this motion and the content which called for second and third reading and plus the sealing will come after telecommunications, the regular order. Close to the end of this. Thank you, sir.
Honourable members, thank you. Before Prime Minister seeks to provide an answer, anyone,
You see I was right?
I think that we are beginning to anticipate many things. And with great respect, I would ask that we not anticipate. But we cross these hurdles as we face them. The first hurdle is there is a request for the suspension of the standing orders. Standing order 112 has been invoked. The Honourable Prime Minister has moved a motion that standing orders 69 and 26E be suspended. That is the motion that is before us. And that is what the motion that I have proposed to this House. And if there are no other speakers, I'm going to put it, I'm going to put it. Yes.
I understand your position, Honorable. You want to make one? I know that you should try to.
No, go ahead, Mr. Ramsey.
Yeah, I really wanted to know, because the normal paper will take priority, because if this is ruled on and there's an automaticity about it jumping the number 1, number 2, number 3, I may very well go against it.
Okay.
So I want to know that.
Mr. Ramsey, the wording of the motion says that standing order 69 and 26 be suspended to allow this assembly to proceed with the second and third readings of the bill and the motion being debated. There's nothing in here that says priority order or anything. That is a matter that should have been worked out if we get to that stage by the whips. But this motion as it is does not say that if we proceed the order in which we will so proceed. That is a matter for the House, or if the whips will come to an agreement. We are simply dealing with whether or not leave will be granted. Given the exigencies of the situation and given what transpired on the last occasion, for the bill and the motion to be returned to the House and be proceeded with. When they are proceeded with, it is for the government to say and it is for the House to agree. It could be next, I don't know, but it is simply whether or not leave will be given to proceed with these. In other words, they're being restored, or to use the word
So
that was
there is
seen
no-
in the press, resurrected.
The proposal is to restore them.
That is, what are we doing now?
I'm happy that you said that, Mr. Speaker, because I will now have to introduce
What's that?
Standing Order 26G. Which reads, in order that the motion may be admissible, it shall satisfy the following conditions, namely, and she says, it shall not relate to any matter which is under adjudication by a court of law. I have for Mr. Murex's case in the council copious proceedings in the full court where, and they must know this, brought by Mr. Ronald Gaskin for writs of prohibition of social right against the Minister of Works and Communication and also the Executive Director of this step who's here. And the matter is extant.
If
somebody
again, sorry, if we come to that hurdle, I will need to read that because I don't know whether what is in that bundle. I haven't seen it.
I'm offering it to you, sir.
Right, but if we get there, I will need to look at it to see whether the matter is judice, what that pertains. I don't know what about that action or that action at all. So, honourable members, I'm going to put for your approval or disapproval.
So, you know, I still have
Yes,
a
sir.
certain guarantee. I mean,
The guarantee matters need to be worked out. What is the guarantee? These matters
I
need to be
deal with
worked
the
out.
guarantee that we started number 1 as per the regular order paper, and even so if we pass this will take its place. The hydro bill will take its place at number 9, and then the motion will come when motions are to be dealt with. Because I do not, and I'm believing.
Mr. Ramadan, hear me out. If we give approval for this bill and to the motion to proceed, a second motion has to be moved
For the sequence.
For the sequencing, it is at that stage, if you have an objection, you may object. But at this stage, I can only put the motion for them to be there live. And then there will have to be a second motion for the order in which they are. So, honorable members, I put the motion that is that standing orders 69 and 26E be suspended on a point of order by.
Sir, I'm looking at the motion again. See, this is what happens when we get things so late. But I know at times it's unavoidable. This is the motion by the Honorable Minister, Honorable Prime Minister. Page. Yes, the resolve, be it resolved that standing order 69 be suspended to allow the National Assembly to proceed with the second and third reading. Sir, there's been no first reading. This bill was defeated. It's gone. If it's coming back, we have to have a first reading. It is coming back. We must have a first reading. It is nothing. Nothing is here as we speak. Can I have a first reading?
On the speaker, the clear point, and I believe rightly so, that standing order 69 says that once the second reading of any bill has been agreed to or next time, no question shall be proposed during the same session for the second reading of any other bill containing substantially the same provision. The point being that the bill's first reading is stated. That is deemed to be taken. It is at the second reading stage that we're at. That was negative, and that's what standing order 69 says, and I agree with that interpretation. So I put the motion. Thank you. Vote in favor of the Prime Minister's motion as read, and I'll read it for emphasis. And that it be resolved that standing orders number 69 and 26E be suspended to allow the National Assembly to proceed with the second and third readings of the Hydroelectric Power Amendment Bill 2013, Bill number 15 of 2013, and the consideration of the motion to limit an amount outstanding on the guarantees given under the Guarantee of Loans, Public Corporations and Companies Act. Be approved. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against?
No!
A division is called. The bill being sought and the vote taken that 37 members voted in favor of the motion, 26 members voted against it. The motion is carried. The bill and the motion shall be proceeded with. Thank you.
Proceeded. Can I at this stage?
Okay. One second, Private.
Members, I'm pleased that this House has taken the step it has taken and restored these most important bill and motion for our consideration. And I would like to invoke 24.3, which says, reads government business shall consist of motions proposed to be made and bills sponsored by ministers or parliamentary secretaries and shall be set down in such order as the government deem fit. And I would like to move that we proceed directly to the AGPA and the motion on the debt ceiling. And this is in accord with our on what we intended for speakers for this session of Parliament, and we can commit this sitting, of Parliament, and we can commit that we are prepared, the government is prepared to sit here until whatever time is required to complete fully the items listed on the order paper for this city.
One second, Mr.
that the motion proposed by the Honorable Prime Minister be amended to read that the business, the relation to the hydroelectric bill and motion to the tax ceiling, we proceeded with after the items for the local government in relation to all 4 local government bills are dealt with on the order.
Thank you. Honorable member from the second chair.
Mr. Speaker, the government, the leader of leader of the House had written me last night in which we clearly stated our objectives today, and these were published in the leader opposition. Mr. Ramnatam Alliance for Change, the chief whip on the opposition side, Ms. Anna Ali, in which we made very clear our objectives for today and the suspension of the relevant standing orders. Mr. Speaker, 24.3 is specific in relation to the government having control over the order of the business of the House. We had an issue at a previous sitting on this same matter. On this same matter, sir. And therefore, whilst I appreciate the member wants to have some assurance, we are saying, and the practice has said in the House.
Let member speak, please. I need to hear
Mr.
him.
Speaker, no one's heck on the other side.
No, I need to hear the member, please. Okay, calm. We're doing well so far.
Due to the importance of this issue, we want, and under 24.3, we will in our right to have these items immediately debated, and that we move then to the other items on the agenda. No less than the leader of the House has committed that our side is prepared to work all the way through to complete today's agenda, which includes all the items.
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion that has been seconded.
That is true. I'd like to say something. Honourable members, as I said, we're going to stand in formal ceremony all day into the night and into tomorrow morning. We have just completed something that has never been done in the history of this National Assembly. That is to restore 2 very important pieces of legislation that were considered otherwise dead. My sense is that realpolitik has to take over. If there's an insistence, and the government does have a right to insist how it will present its business, that is its right. But if there's an insistence that it does so, it will, I believe, suffer from consequences that are unwanted. But it does have a right, it is its agenda. It does have that right. But I believe, and I can say this because I don't have a vote, and so I will speak freely, that if we insist on proceeding with them immediately, my sense is that what gains we just achieved within the last 5 minutes could be washed away. And so I'm going to ask that having been restored, they take their place in the queue and we go through the normal business, because as I said, we have achieved something tremendous, and the government may wish to insist on its right to proceed, but I believe that in the interest, the public's interest, this is what was relied on in the letter to me last evening, that we not insist on doing what you believe is the government should step back a bit and allow the House to consider the bills as they come up. And so this is the Speaker's plea that both sides come to some compromise and that we have some consensus, and having been restored onto the order paper, that they take their place in the queue and that we get to them later in the day's business. I believe that it's in the public interest that we do so, and that is my plea as Speaker of the House, even though government may wish to insist that it has the right to order it. One second, Mr. Williams, I'm still speaking. I am publicly asking government to consider that we allow these matters, having been restored, they are now restored, but that they not be proceeded immediately, because there is obviously not consensus for that, and there's no doubt that the outcome will be as it was before.
Mr. Speaker, if you will allow me, there are 2 things I'd like to propose. One is that you allow a suspension to allow the government side to consult amongst itself. Secondly, you're going to deny that. Secondly, sir, that I would like to ask the opposition members to, just like they wish an assurance that the issues they have interest in are covered tonight, that we have assurance, were we to go with the proposal by them, that our items will be done. Thirdly, for the notice of the House, the two chief whips, as you had said, sat down and worked out the order in which the hydroelectric bill and the debt ceiling bill motion were number 1 and number 2 on the order for today. And you have a copy, sir, of the list of speakers. So,
I was not aware that my apologies.
Mr. Speaker, if the opposition is thinking as they're running, we are asking for suspension so we can now discuss amongst ourselves.
I remember it is 10 minutes to 4. Mr. Williams, Mr. 1 minute, Mr. Williams has been good enough to pass to me a 100-page document, which I was going to ask your leave to consider, because it raises serious matters as to whether or not the issues we're about to proceed with are in fact sub judice and are prevented by standing orders. So in any event, I was going to ask you of the House to give me some time. I've already asked for some research to be done. And so I would be minded to grant the request for government side to consult at the conference. And I believe it's a good occasion for members of the opposition to caucus as well, and at some time to caucus with the government. I would hope we proceed tonight. Also, Deputy Speaker, then Ms. Sally.
Thank you very much, sir. So I just want to remind the House, sir, most respectfully, that we, in the recent past, it has been decided and agreed on that by suspending the relevant standing orders, I don't want to get into that now, that we have the authority, the majority has the authority to read the National Assembly to reorder the sequence. So even if they're insisting on the hydro, it is not because they insist. We can suspend, we can have a motion, and we will suspend the order of business so that number 2 becomes number 7 or number 9 becomes number 6, whatever. So as the government caucuses, I just wanted to place that before the ongoing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to make some clarification to the statements that the government chief has made. You will agree that every time we have a sitting of the National Assembly, the chief whips meet and discuss the speakers for the various matters listed for debate. That was exactly what we did today. We had no discussion of priority and the likes. We discussed speakers that will contribute to each of the bills listed.
Honourable members, I thank you. We will, as it is already 5 minutes before, Honourable Member and Minister of Public Works, you wish to enter into this?
No, I just to state Mr. Speaker, I already said that there was service of a motion with respect to this matter, an action in the court. I want to state clearly here that I was never served. I was not served with any motion.
I can assure you that we won't stop this matter from proceeding. Sir, this matter will proceed it's actually an appeal. So parties, interested parties should have been, or affected parties should. So it does not stop the appeal from going ahead if you are served or not. So honourable members, we will take our statutory suspension for 1 hour. And I hope that it will be very, very fruitful and productive for you. Enjoy your
Not a break yet.
Local government ministers complaining all the time how we change the sequence and brought in the bills to be number 1 on the agenda. So that if they're insistent, then it has to go to the vote. And once the AFC joins with us, we will vote against that sequence as none of us come after the local government bills are debated. So, and in addition to that, I've introduced another issue where under 26G, standard order 26G, once a matter is pending in court, then you cannot debate or proceed with it if it's the same subject matter in the Parliament. So that's another issue that is happening. Not to put it on the paper. We're confident that they're not going to allow it to be the first item to be debated on.
But remember, the government does give its indication that they're willing to go through the monitoring through all the...
No, we don't mind, but we don't mind what they said. It has to come after the local government.
Why the insistence?
Because the local governments are there, they have agreed to bring them to the Parliament, and now they try to hold it hostage on these other arrangements. And it's unprecedented. I mean, we allow them to bring these bills back. You know? So why would you want them now to take precedence when you already have a sequence of the day? Well, the president has shown the world that that he's ready for local government reform and local government elections. So that would be a matter for him. And the, as you know, our stakeholders, including the ABC countries, are firmly of the view that the time is right for local government reform and local government. All right.